Imagine you're living in ancient Egypt, a land of sprawling temples, towering statues, and endless devotion to a pantheon of gods: Osiris, Isis, Horus, and of course the almighty Ammon. Religion isn't just a part of life, it is life. But then comes one pharaoh who flips the script completely, a man who dares to take on centuries of tradition and reshape an entire civilization. His name? Akhenaten. Today, we're breaking down the story of the most controversial pharaoh in Egyptian history, a man whose radical ideas almost erased him from the annals of time. His reign was as revolutionary as it was chaotic, a cautionary tale about power, religion, and the struggle to change a deeply ingrained society. Akhenaten wasn't always called Akhenaten. Born as Amenhotep IV, he was the son of Pharaoh Amenhotep III, one of the most powerful rulers of the 18th dynasty. By the time Amenhotep IV came to power in 1353 BCE, Egypt was thriving. But instead of continuing his father's legacy of expansion and wealth, Amenhotep IV had something completely different in mind. From the very beginning of his reign, it was clear he wasn't like other pharaohs. While most rulers were content to worship the pantheon of Egyptian gods, Amenhotep IV seemed fixated on one in particular: Aten, the sun disk. Aten wasn't a new deity, but previous pharaohs had always treated him as just one god among many, not Amenhotep IV. In the 5th year of his reign, Amenhotep IV made his most audacious move yet. He officially changed his name to Akhenaten, which means effective for Aten. This wasn't just a rebranding exercise, it was a full-blown declaration of religious revolution. Akhenaten proclaimed that Aten wasn't just a god, but the god, the sole creator of the universe. All the other gods? Irrelevant. This shift wasn't just about religion, it was about power. For centuries, the priests of Ammon had wielded immense influence in Egypt. They controlled vast amounts of land and wealth, and some historians argue they were as powerful as the pharaoh himself. By promoting Aten and sidelining Ammon, Akhenaten wasn't just changing how people worshipped, he was dismantling an entire political structure. According to Egyptologist Barry Kemp, Akhenaten's actions were a direct challenge to the traditional balance of power in Egypt. The temples of Ammon were shut down, their wealth confiscated, and their priests stripped of their influence. But Akhenaten wasn't content to just change the gods people prayed to. He wanted a fresh start, a physical manifestation of his new religion. So, in a bold move, he abandoned Thebes, Egypt's traditional religious capital, and built a brand new city in the middle of the desert. This city, called Akhetaten, modern-day Amarna, was designed to be a haven for Aten worship. Imagine a glittering city with wide-open spaces, grand temples dedicated to Aten, and no trace of Egypt's old gods. Akhenaten even commissioned art that broke from traditional Egyptian styles. Instead of the stiff, formal depictions of past pharaohs, Akhenaten and his family were shown in a more naturalistic, almost intimate way. One famous piece of art shows Akhenaten with his wife, Nefertiti, and their children sitting under the rays of Aten. The imagery is clear. Aten isn't just a distant deity, he's a god who blesses the pharaoh and his family directly. But while Akhenaten was busy building his utopia, his radical reforms weren't sitting well with everyone. For ordinary Egyptians, Aten wasn't a god they could easily relate to. Unlike Ammon or Osiris, who had rich mythologies and offered promises of an afterlife, Aten was abstract and distant. Worse still, Akhenaten's focus on religion came at a cost. Egypt's empire, which had been carefully built by his predecessors, began to crumble. Military campaigns were neglected, and Egypt's influence in the region waned. Letters from foreign rulers found in the Amarna archives paint a picture of a king who was either unable or unwilling to maintain Egypt's dominance. Even within Egypt, resistance was growing. The priesthood of Ammon, though weakened, wasn't entirely destroyed. And for those who had grown up worshipping the traditional gods, Akhenaten's reforms must have felt like an attack on their very identity. Akhenaten ruled for 17 years, but his dream of a monotheistic Egypt died with him. After his death, the country quickly returned to its old ways. Akhetaten was abandoned and the city's monuments were defaced. His successor, a young boy named Tutankhaten, even changed his name to Tutankhamun, signaling a return to the worship of Ammon. Later rulers tried to erase Akhenaten from history entirely, referring to him as the heretic king. His name was scrubbed from monuments, and his city was left to the sands. For centuries, his story was almost forgotten, until archaeologists uncovered the ruins of Amarna in the 19th century. Today, Akhenaten is a divisive figure. Some see him as a visionary, a religious reformer who was ahead of his time. Others view him as a fanatic whose obsession with Aten nearly destroyed Egypt. One thing's for sure, Akhenaten's story is a reminder of how fragile even the most powerful civilizations can be when one leader tries to change too much, too quickly. His reign is a testament to the dangers of radical reform and the resilience of tradition. Akhenaten may have tried to rewrite history, but in the end, history wrote him out. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into history, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Join us as we uncover more incredible stories from the past. See you in the next one.